Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We've got a guest who'll be on here in just a moment. It's a guy who's built a multiple seven-figure, very successful, robust reselling business using proven Amazon core strategies, and he's just killing it. But one of the things we love about this guest's story is how much he pours back into our community. As a matter of fact, one of my all-time favorite podcast episodes was one of the episodes that we had with the gentleman who you'll meet in just a moment. It's number 754. If you're writing that down, I'll probably stick a link to that in the show notes too. Episode 754. Go back and check it out if you enjoy today and you want to get a little more history on what we've got going on. He's been on the show a handful of times. He's emerged as a real leader in our community as well. And when I say he's poured back into this community, here's what I mean specifically. He developed software for his own business. As a coaching student in our program, he built software because that's what he did in his previous career. He had built a very successful business with his own software that he developed, running the whole thing. Well, he sold that business, but he kept the skill of automating systems, using software to remove the pain points and expand the opportunities of a profitable system. And that's what he's done with Replens. And the software is taking our industry by storm right now. We've got hundreds of users giving us incredible feedback. The software, of course, is 3P Mercury. For a long time, before it had a name, we called it the system. I'm using air quotes. You can still go to silentjimdotcom/the system and learn quite a bit about it, or sign up at 3P Mercury. After you've heard our discussion today, you might want to go do that. But the discount secret page is in the show notes, and I'll give it to you now too, where you can get the highest level of software package at the lowest price you'll find anywhere, including the lowest retail price. It's lower than the lowest retail price for the lowest end package. So basically, it's the best deal you're going to find anywhere at 3pmercury.com/friends. And we'll talk more about that today. I'm not looking to try to convince you of anything right now. I'm just setting up the fact that we're going to meet a guy who's built a robust, beautiful business using a tiny team and some powerful software that's very inexpensive to build the workflow for his business. So just to set up our conversation a little bit, then I'll bring Khang on board because today's a slightly longer episode, but we cover a lot of great territory. You should find yourself encouraged, inspired. We're going to talk about a lot of the skeptical questions you might have and hopefully bring you to the point where you can realize if you're willing to put in a little work, time, effort, man, we've got a beautiful business model and some software that can help the entire workflow of the entire business. But let me just point something out to you. The Amazon reselling opportunity is exploding right now for those who see it through the proper lens. And that's one of the big themes that we're going to talk about today is seeing the opportunity through the proper lens. One of the things I'm proud about on this podcast is we bring you story after story after story of people who are doing it. They're new a few months ago, and now they're producing results, and the sky is the limit, and the opportunity is getting bigger. We provide evidence of that as well today. This isn't a shrinking pool of opportunity. This is an expanding blue ocean of opportunity. We provide you the facts, data, and evidence of that. So we're here to encourage you and to hopefully lead you to a really good decision. Is this something that you want to do? Here's the best tools, the best training. Let's give you a big shove in the right direction. I think you might be ready to take action after this call today. Hey, at any point today where you find yourself thinking, man, I'd love to talk to one of these guys or talk to someone on their team about this and get some more details, you can do that anytime you want to. Go to silentjim.com/book a call. That's all one word. silentjim.com/book a call. Squeeze all those words together. That shows you our phone number. You can text us. You can get on our calendar and book out a time to have a free consultation with someone on our team to really talk through, is this business a good fit for you? What's involved in getting started? What free resources, low-cost resources, or if you want to go further faster, what coaching opportunities we have just for you. Well, enjoy today's episode. I always love hanging out with my friend Khang. Again, go back and listen to episode 754 after this episode if you want more. That's my all-time favorite podcast episode. He really dives into his personal story and what shifted his heart to a place where he wanted to not just succeed on his own, but pour into this community. And 754 tells why he spent so much time, effort, and energy and a whole bunch of his own money building out what I believe to be is the most beautiful, robust tool for the Amazon selling industry. And it's, like I said, it's taken the industry by storm. Hundreds of users coming in, new users every day hopping in, changing their life with this software. Can't wait to have you as the next user if you're ready to get serious about your Amazon business. All right, let's get Khang on the line and dive into what he's been working on lately. Some really cool new features. We're going to talk all about it. So Khang, welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, same. So I'm glad to be back. Been on this podcast quite a few times now. I've lost
Yeah,
count.
you're quickly approaching one of our most frequent guests, man, but for good reason. There's so much going on. So we talked a little bit beforehand. How about we do a quick recap for those who don't know who you are? I probably mentioned a little bit in the intro, but just, tell your story, fill us in.
Yeah, so I started selling on Amazon in 2020 and complete newbie, didn't know anything. Listened to one of your podcasts and just like, hey, sounds like a great idea. So I started learning about it. I learned about the Proven Amazon course. I dove in and watched the Replens course from Jimmy Smith, which I think has been updated since then, a few times since then. And really highly recommend anybody that is interested in selling on Amazon or on Walmart is to really consider watching the Proven Amazon course. It kind of gives you a very great foundation into selling. So I started with that, and then I wanted to move a little bit faster because I'm fairly an impatient person. So I said, I have the funds. It's the right move for me. So I signed up for your coaching service, and that really, I don't know, that really just got me going so quickly. It got, it. I was one of those people that posted those like a crazy stat. Hey, sold 50,000 in my second month, kind of thing. So that kind of got me a little bit of attention, and I got on your podcast right after that. So yeah, off to a great start and everything like that, and it's just been going up ever since. I've been selling since then, still selling. My best year so far has been almost $3 million, shy by, I don't know, like 50,000 or something, some little minuscule number, but $3 million in an annual year. And the whole time I've pretty much explored every single way that you can sell on Amazon. I've sold retail arbitrage, I've done online arbitrage, wholesale, private label. I've tried it all.
Some bundles in there.
Yeah, bundles too. I've pretty much done it all just to see where it is I like to end up. And ultimately, I pretty much have kind of settled on the arbitrage model because to me it just seems like the least risky model, and especially the way that I have been doing it and kind of promoting it to other users as well is the inch deep, mile wide mentality. And just don't buy deep in anything. Every time over the past 5 years I've ever bought deep in anything, and I'll give you guys an experience. I bought a pallet of this herbal tea or something. It sells like crazy, right? It just moves. It sells like 100 a day. So I bought a whole pallet of it. It cost me like $7,000. And sure enough, as soon as I bought the pallet, I got an IP complaint, and now I'm stuck with an entire pallet. Right?
Yeah.
I tried to get it removed, IP complaint removed, but the brand filed an IP complaint. They demand an LOA. Of course, you can never get one, and a letter of authorization for those who don't know. And now I'm stuck with a whole pallet. It took me almost 3 years until the product almost expired until I got rid of it on eBay. Okay, it took me that long to get rid of it. So in my experience, buying deep has never ended up very, very good for me. So what I've pretty much learned over the last 5 years is I just buy a little bit of everything. I just buy, 5 here, 10 there, and I spread it out across, which now in my catalog is nearly like 100,000 ASINs that I can cycle through. So if you think about it, if I just buy a little bit of everything and I get an IP complaint here and there, oh, big deal. I lose a brand. Okay, I lost Funko Pop. Okay, I lost like 5 units. Who cares, right? Lego. They did the same thing with Lego. And so no big deal, right? But going through that journey, running those things on spreadsheets made it nearly impossible because it was very, very hard to keep track of so many ASINs, right? I think that's why a lot of people end up buying deep is because it's just easier to manage.
Right.
But you just put yourself in such a bad spot when something happens on Amazon. And I heard about one user who had nearly $300,000 in Funko Pop, and when they
Mhm.
hard gated him, what are you supposed to do with that, right?
Yes, we say don't, inch deep, mile wide applies to brands, applies to
Mhm.
categories. We have people who go all in on shoes, for example, all in on Nike, for example. What happens when that brand, as a reseller, you're subject to a lot of possible shifts that can happen. It could be Amazon, it could be the brand, it could be a recall. We've seen recalls on toys before,
Mhm.
right? Like some lawyer somewhere decides that this, piece of the toy is too small and shouldn't be. So all it gets recalled, all back to your warehouse. You're thinking, why did I buy 800 units of that thing? I should be buying 5, 10, 15 units at a time at the most and selling against the underserved shelf space, which is there in abundance,
Mhm.
instead of taking these big risks. I think the other reason people go deep is because they have this perception that, well, if I can just shave $1 or 2 per unit off the cost, now I can make more profit. And they're rolling the risk dice now on everything going according to plan. But we know with Amazon, things don't often go according to plan. So you got to have, I call it having your worst case scenario firmly in mind before you buy your inventory. And if it's 5 units, your worst case scenario is I've given away some Christmas presents to my nieces and nephews. It's like that's my worst case on this ASIN, right?
Right.
Versus a pallet of tea that you have to sell on eBay for 3 years.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And it's like I said, it's like it's never worked out well for me. Like I've done wholesale, I've
Mhm.
bought pallets at a time, I've shipped in truckloads at a time. It's never worked out well. Like it overall, if I can consider the average, of course, some products turn out great. You buy a pallet and you sell the entire pallet. That's great. But overall, once you consider all of the burn, the little burn incidents, it really takes away from your margins. It takes away from a lot of things, and it's just not worth it. On the flip case, I mean, like for instance, if you consider, okay, I'm going to buy 5,000 units of this one product, which has a huge risk factor of being gated, being whatever, right? There's all kinds of things that can go wrong, as we've discussed. Or I can buy 10 units of 500 different ASINs. You're spreading out the risk so much more. And not only that, you're moving. Think about it. You have the opportunity to move multiple units at the same time versus having one ASIN try to sell through an entire pallet, right? It's just it works out better in from what I've experienced in many ways.
Mhm.
Um,
But the obvious concern people will have is like, I'd rather be tracking one ASIN and getting a good discount than tracking 500 ASINs. That sounds complicated. They try to
so
use a spreadsheet. They try to review it as often as they can. They get burnt out looking at all these ASINs constantly. And that's one of many reasons
so
why we
that
let the software do the heavy lifting, right?
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons why when I ventured into wholesale, and I said this during my podcast when I went into wholesale, is it was so easy to just buy deep in a few ASINs versus the inch deep mile wide method, because it's just so hard to track. Like you say, it's so difficult to track all of these ASINs and what's happening. Should I reprice down? Should I bump my price up? And it's just very hard to track. So what you end up doing is you either have to buy a cocktail of software, and I like to call it a cocktail because it's like you have to. There's a lot of great software out there that specialize in one thing. Like for instance, you can buy a profit calculator. That's a very good profit calculator. You can buy a lead management system that's good at what it does. But that's it. It's very limited into that scope. So you have to end up being going out and piecing together a bunch of different softwares that overall doesn't talk to each other anyway. So it's like you're working with a bunch of different softwares that you have to manage and maintain, and that becomes not only expensive but a chore to have to maintain all of that software. And the synergy is lost because none of it talks to each other, right? So that's when I started. When I did wholesale, I said, okay, wholesale is great, but I really miss being able to shop for a lot of different ASINs at multiple stores. And the profit margin when I did that was a lot better than when I did wholesale. So how can I get back to that? So that's when I started down the journey of, okay, let's see what's out there. It's better to explore what's out there than to try to build, because building is not only time consuming, it's very expensive. So I tried to put pieces together, but the problem, again, like I mentioned, is none of it talks to each other. It's just a bunch of different software you kind of trying to jam into together that it doesn't work well. So I started, okay, I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to have to build this myself. And this is fortunately been my background. I started my previous business, which was very large, doing sort of the same thing. I built custom software for our company that automated a lot of things. So I took that knowledge and that experience, and I took that over to the Amazon world, and I built 3P Mercury, which was really meant for just myself, right? I didn't mean to launch this out to anyone. So what 3P Mercury is, for those who don't know, it is a collection of tools that works together. So for instance, everyone doing arbitrage or doing reselling of some sort is going to need a profit calculator. So that was one of the things that you're going to need, right? So from the profit calculator, though, the problem is pretty much all profit calculators out there are making you save it to a spreadsheet. But when you save things to a spreadsheet, that becomes data that never changes. Unless you go in and manually change it yourself, that's not going to change. But the problem is the Amazon landscape does change, right? So when you save that lead, there might be 2 sellers, but what if there are 15 sellers, 20 sellers now? The price has tanked, whatever. You don't know. So you have to go in and manually refresh that data, which is a chore, which again, nobody's going to do. So you end up with almost useless data, right? From there, so that's a tracking problem, right? From there, I would need another tool to manage my current inventory. How do I know what to restock? How much to restock? How much money did I even make on those sales? Are there things sitting on the shelf for a long time that's stale and I need to move it? So you need another tool for that. You need another tool for financial analysis, and just it's go on and on and on, right? So that's what 3P Mercury is. It's an entire ecosystem of tools where everything works together. You find a lead, you load it into the database, it automatically tracks for you. You make a purchase, it records your receipts and saves your receipts to the database in case you get an IP complaint. You can pull it up really quickly. It tracks your inventory in terms of how much you have left, how much you've sold, how much money you've made, and your overall finances. It tracks that. So and we're adding more and more tools to this as users are jumping on and building the system with us. And I think that's one of the coolest thing about 3P Mercury is that it is a crowdsourced software where pretty much all of your ideas are being fed into a bucket, like a bucket of ideas. We evaluate them together, and then we build the features that you want.
Yeah, the first couple hundred serious sellers who jumped in there, successful students from our community, helped shape, starting a few years ago, what is now become, I would argue, the most robust reseller workflow tool in the industry. Start to finish, feature wise, automation, how much work it takes off your desk. I love the analogy of just to revisit a concept of stale ASINs, because what you're going to find over time, and I know all of us, any of us who are using spreadsheets, you've got this problem. You've got ASINs sitting in these long spreadsheet documents somewhere that are now gold. You walked away from them because they weren't doing that great, and now they're gold again, but you'll never know because it's sitting there being unmonitored with an old price and an old assumed buy box and an old seller count or whatever the metrics you use to make a good decision. And you're never going to revisit that ASIN. It's just sitting there in a dust heap. Whereas if you put it into software that's constantly tracking, updating, monitoring, it's bringing it to your attention when it's time to do so in an intelligent fashion. That can change the way you see reselling. It's not a hunt for the latest discounts and sales and constantly scurrying trying to find that next bargain. it's a catalog of ASINs, and the software is telling you when it's time to pay attention to the right ones. And that's just one of, at this point, dozens of automations that didn't exist anywhere else
Yeah.
in the industry. I mean, the list of features grows constantly, which I know the second part of our conversation today, we're going to get into some of those cool things that we're doing that no one else is doing and the stuff that we're automating. But yeah, I'm loving this story. I just wanted to point out those two quick differences, because to be a reseller at scale means you either got to go really deep and buy a whole bunch of one thing and hope that you can sell out before something changes, or you go shallow with these, worst case break even, best case nice margin, and you get a whole bunch of them in your catalog, and you buy more of them when you have to. But you're going to need a tool to tell you when it's time, because like you said, thousands and thousands. We've got, people with 3,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 ASINs in their catalog. And we're all different too. Let me point this out, Khang, before I throw the ball back to you. We all have different categories that we're approved in, different brands that we're approved to sell, different things that we've been grandfathered in. New sellers have huge advantages over experienced sellers in some cases, where they're getting privileges that we took years to get and we still don't have, but they're giving it to new sellers now suddenly, right? So we all have a different playing field to operate on. No two catalogs are going to look alike as a result. Brand approvals, ASIN approvals, category approvals, everyone has a different profile. So your catalog is going to look very different. It's not like we can all just load 1.4 billion ASINs into the software and go nuts, because the data you're going to be getting back is junk. You're not approved for a lot of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So keep us going. What else is on your mind after I say all that?
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on the point, this is what I do in my own business, and I've been teaching that to all of our users as well. It's like it's so easy. Like if you imagine you have a spreadsheet over time, you're going to build up so many ASINs over the history of your selling journey. You're going to end up with tens of thousands of ASINs. That imagine if you have to click each one of those to load up the Amazon page to see what the landscape looks like now, even if you have some fancy way of doing it and playing with spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff. It takes forever to reanalyze all those ASINs to the point where nobody's going to do it. Like based on what I've seen in my experience, nobody goes back and look at their old ASINs, right? Maybe randomly here and there when something comes up, like, oh, I remember I sold that one, so I'll go check on that random ASIN. But overall, as your overall ASIN database, nobody goes back and rechecks all of those ASINs, let alone rechecks them every day, right? Imagine doing that exercise every day. You would need an army of people to go do it. But I've shown people how just clicking a few buttons in 3P Mercury, it will go in and do things like show me out of all of my entire catalog, every ASIN where the seller count is decreasing and the buy box is going up, right? Like just doing that takes literally 1 second, right? So that's what I do. I mine out opportunities. I have so many ASINs that I can just really be very picky in what I buy nowadays and just pick out like the best of the best, right? The best opportunities. All these ASINs are being underserved, like you would like to say. All these sellers are not selling this ASIN anymore, which used to be like a super hot ASIN, but everybody was tanking the price and everybody's scared of it. And the problem is nobody has the ability to go back and check it. But with 3P Mercury, it's always keeping those opportunities in front of you so that you can just go in at the right time, raise the buy box, sell it at a high price, get a great margin. I mean, I'm getting stuff at like ridiculous margins, like 30, 40% margins, because I'm just timing it. And I have such a huge catalog to be able to do that, that I can just, cherry pick which ones I want to sell. Without a software like this, it's basically impossible. So that's one of the great things that we are able to do. Why is it so important to track ASINs, which at the time, cool statistics I want to share is when we released this out to the public not too long ago, maybe about a year or so. We're now currently tracking 1 million active ASINs in the system every
For
day.
the 3P user clients, over 1 million ASINs at
Yeah.
this point being tracked throughout the
And these aren't junk
user.
ASINs people are loading in. These are actually opportunity type ASINs where they're ungated, they can sell it. They're just
Mhm.
tracking it over time to see when the right opportunity is to go buy it. And this is that's one cool statistics that I wanted to share. Um,
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And we've got the ability to scale this thing indefinitely at this point. I love that this started out as, and I probably mentioned it in the introduction, but episode 754, I think, is where we really cover a lot of this and your story, your background for those who want to hear a little bit more. But this started out as a tool just for your business. You honestly had no intention at all. You were just trying to automate because you think in systems, trying to, this new business strategy you learned from us, like, well, I can write software to do some of this and take some of the heavy lifting. And what it started turning into is this robust platform. You thought, well, why couldn't other people be doing the same thing? And our community started, by the hundreds now gravitating into this tool. And we're hearing some of the coolest stories. So I just love the organic nature of this. We didn't set out to build the next great tool for Amazon resellers. It just kind of happened because it was working for you. You had a $3 million business, successful, and you're just using this software. Hey, why not let some other people use this too? And so here we are, making some real waves, starting to get a lot of attention. There's a lot of people outside of our community now that never heard our podcast, never taken our courses or training. They're starting to discover this tool because it automates the workflow for the first time in a way that no other tool does.
they
So
are.
I love the story. I love that it's part of our story of this community too.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the most, I guess, rewarding thing is when when people they go from, okay, what is this tool? Is it just another thing? And then they start using it and they realize, like, oh, this is almost all I need for my business. Like it's like it really does almost everything, right? And probably our goal is to make it do pretty much everything. Right. So that's the ultimate goal. Is this is the only tool you will ever need. Right now, it covers probably about 80-90% of everything you need to sell online. It does so much. And in fact, it's like it could be overwhelming if you try to take it all in at once. But, that's why we have a really great support team. We have like a lot of the Jim Cockrum coaches are using this tool
Right.
and teaching this tool. They're on for support, so a lot of users, like, they're like, I just need a little bit of extra help, and we set them up with one of the Jim Cockrum coaches that uses the tool, for their own business, and really get them, like, to understand the foundation of the software. But once the most rewarding thing is, once they get it, once they see the value, it becomes like a person that was like, oh, I'm just trying to see what this tool does. To some of the reviews that we get now, they're like, you know, I would quit Amazon without this tool. They say it's just one of those tools that some of the users says the first site I open every day is Seller Central, and then the second site is the Repeat Mercury. That's
Right. Yeah.
ingrained this tool has become for their selling business,
Yeah.
because it gives you so much insight into your business. How well am I doing?
Mhm.
What are my to-dos? What do I need to buy today? What do I need to move? And some of those things, like stale inventory. Hey, this ASIN hasn't sold well for the last 14 days. I need to make a decision, move the price down or whatever. It just does everything that you need. It's all, and the beautiful thing is it's built to be a tool made for teams. So for me, I don't run my Amazon business. My team runs my Amazon business. So I have a very small team of virtual assistants. I have one person in the warehouse doing my prep and ship. And that's it. I run a tiny team. I hardly look at my Amazon business at all. I just kind of log in, see my numbers. I mentioned in the past, I went on vacation for 2 weeks. I went back and it was like, I didn't even touch Amazon, and everything just moves, right? So it's a tool that you can actually build a team on, delegate. There's so many things, built into it that is made for teams, but also as a solopreneur, I guess you can say, you can use it as well, because, like I've kind of mentioned, these are all problems you have to solve one way or another, right? Either you go buy a cocktail of tools, or you just have a tool that does it all. So one way or another, you're going to buy something, right? So
Right. To address the frustration points. Yeah, let me point out one of my favorite examples. I think we're tackling the problem. I've never used this visual before. We're tackling the Amazon reselling game from two different angles with this tool. We're
Mhm.
saying, what are those dream features that no one's ever had before that you'd like to be able to do? For example, we're adding an above buy box intelligence just to alert you, hey, this is an ASIN. You might want to go grab a few and charge way more than everyone else because we're seeing signs that it's understocked, right? It's a little flag there. No one's doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
those are dream features that make new opportunities within arm's reach we couldn't do before. And
Right.
then on the other end, we're saying, what are some of those pain points? So things that make people throw their hands up in frustration and question if they even want to do this anymore. What are those things? Like Amazon's asking me for every receipt and invoice for this ASIN that I haven't sold in 6 months. And when I did sell it, I sold it over the course of like 18 months and I sold a unit or two a week. And you want all the invoices and receipts? Are you kidding me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, let's make the software so friendly that you push a button and you get a report of all the receipts and invoices for that ASIN and like send it off. It's no longer a pain point. It's a button click and the problem is no longer a problem. So
Mm-hmm.
we're turning a lot of those inconveniences into a button click convenience. And we're turning a lot of those dream, like, wow, I wish I had a software that could do this. We're bringing that into reality as well. It's like we're tackling it from both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a
Yeah.
good visual?
It's a perfect visual. It's in one way, it started off as pain points, right? For me, it was just like the very first thing I built. Actually, it's funny you said that. The very first thing I built was a receipt tracker, right? Like, because I was getting IP complaint, authenticity complaints, and it would just take me hours to dig up the receipt. And in fact, if you do listen to back all of my podcasts, and so you know that what I'm saying is legit. I said this way back years ago. I said that I almost hate the process of getting an IP complaint, of having to get all the receipts for Amazon, filling out the paperwork. I hated that more than the IP complaint itself, what it did to my account health, right? Um, so that was one of the tools that I had to resolve. Like for me, I was resolving pain points for myself. When I was building this, I was like, okay, how can I make this quick? What I want to do, ideal scenario, Amazon gives me an IP complaint. They give me the ASIN. I pop in the ASIN. It returns every single receipt I've ever bought for that ASIN in less than a second. That's the goal. So I started from the pain point, built the solution, and I kept doing that over and over again to the point now where 3P Mercury solves so many pain points for users. And they continue to come up with more pain points. And that's when we start building features for that. But at the same time, are those dream features, right? Things like, for instance, integrating in AI, which we're exploring, right? Integrating in tools that convenience features that saves more time above the buy box. We're exploring things like such as come up with a what do we call it, a daily action item task, right? Where the 3P Mercury itself can be essentially your assistant, your executive assistant, where you as the CEO logs in and it just has a page of things for you to do, right? Hey, reprice this thing down. It's been sitting for a while. Hey, go buy more of this ASIN. It's hot. It's great, a great opportunity. So we're coming up with so many dream features that I don't think any tool out there is doing. So there are a lot of things coming to 3P Mercury. And we're really that's what makes it fun for me, is to see not only does it improve your current business, but then it brings in so many possibilities that nobody's really taking the time to do.
It's being shaped out by the most successful sellers in the most robust Amazon reselling community in the world.
Mhm.
That's who's shaping the tool. And just give me an idea, like if you had to put a number to it, how many suggested features are on the list of things to implement for the software right now? Like if you just had to take a stat, how big is Kevin's list?
just the short list right now, we're probably over 100 already.
Yeah. And those are all things that'll be a reality within a few months, as time
Yeah.
allows, as we get to it. But these are user suggested improvements where we all raise our hand and go, oh, wow, that would be cool. Now, whether you use it in your business or not, that's optional. But for those of us who want to use the above buy box feature or the executive summary feature or the, hey, I've got $1,000 to spend, where should I put it
Mhm.
feature, right? Like
Yeah.
those are features that are coming. And if they don't already exist, and yeah, it's mind-blowing software. I love that there's almost a community culture around it. You're very involved in the mastermind, meeting on a regular basis. As a guy with a multiple seven-figure Amazon selling business, time with you is valuable enough, let alone as the instructor and creator of a software tool. talk to me a little bit about that. What kind of things do you guys
Yeah.
do in the masterminds and when you hang out
Mhm.
with the users on a regular basis?
Yeah, so a lot of software, and I've experienced this when I bought my cocktail software. It's pretty much watch the videos and contact support if you need something. And for me, when I built the software, I'm so dedicated into user training and just speaking to the users, first of all, because I get to understand, your pain points and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I get to relieve you of the burden of having to learn a new software. So when I did this, I wanted to dedicate myself to training. So what I do as part of the, you guys joining 3P Mercury is you get to speak to me every Monday twice. So I do one on the one in the morning and one in the evening. I do live sessions where we just get on as users. We talk about how to use certain features or how to not only training type of stuff for software, but we also talk about like current events. Hey, Amazon's doing this thing here, so it's starting to become almost like it's basically a mastermind. We call our private Facebook group a mastermind, 3P Mercury Mastermind. So you get access to me basically every week. On top of that, I want people to use the software the way I've learned how to use the software, right? And specifically with sourcing. So the way I train my team, I've put together a sourcing mastermind where I teach all of the 3P Mercury users. This is a bonus content. I probably could have packaged this up and sold it for money. Right? It's actually that good, right? But I don't. So what I offer to subscribers is this bonus content. We call it our sourcing mastermind, where I go over six sessions, and they're live. Well, they're recorded now, but at the time they were live, is to go through how I train my team into using 3P Mercury to find tens of thousands of ASINs, to load in why we track ASINs, the whole mentality behind the inch deep, mile wide, and how to really navigate that through 3P Mercury. And we've done that since after the conference. So we started in June in there, and within a month, okay, just within a month, our users have loaded and tracked 187,000 ASINs since that mastermind. That's how many
Yeah,
ASINs they're
just a few
finding.
weeks ago.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
many ASINs they're finding. Okay.
Yep.
So it's incredible to see like the things you can do with not just a great tool, but guidance, like how to actually do this, right? I mean, that's insane. That's 187,000 ASINs that didn't exist in their database,
Hmm.
a month ago. That's a
Hmm.
lot, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and the shift that's happening, let me just talk that for a moment because some people might be a little confused, like, wow, how can you find that many good ASINs? We're not saying they went out and bought
Mm,
all 187. The way the game has shifted now is,
mhm,
the old way was here's a good ASIN. I'm reasonably confident that within the next 30 to 60 days, having bought a few units of this is going to go well for me. So I'm going to invest in a few units of this ASIN. And then at the end of that time, I'm going to decide if I want to do more of that or not. That's a good ASIN. That's an ASIN that goes into our spreadsheet or goes into our tracking system, whatever it is we have. The
mhm,
way the game's changing now is we can identify ASINs that at some point, any point in the past, was a good performer by all appearances. So we can reasonably expect at some point in the future, it might again be a good performer. So let's let some software start tracking that thing. We may never actually buy a unit of it, but we're
mhm,
going to be keeping our eyes on it through the software tool, 3P Mercury, right? So it's a huge shift in strategy that's been made available to all of us. So that's where you come up with these large lists of ASINs. It's not that you're going to go buy all of them. Your
mhm.
budget may be, I only have $500 a month, but you could still have a catalog of 5,000 ASINs that you're tracking, right? And then
Right.
buying your favorite ones,
Mhm.
right? Just to clarify for people, just, 187,000 ASINs in a few weeks for my, the hundreds of users. That seems like, whoa, are they buying all this? No. Like the
No.
ratio might be one out of every 50 ASINs I'm tracking, do I actually buy in any given quarter, right?
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, right? And that's exactly right. I mean, if you have bought all those aces, you probably run out of money really quickly. But like for instance, Brian Olson is a 3P Mercury user, and he teaches on 3P as well. And we did a webinar, joint webinar together. If you'd like to see that webinar, it's on silentjimdotcom/the system. So silentjimdotcom/the system. I did a webinar with Brian Olson, and he teaches the strategy that we're talking about, like just buying very shallow across a lot of ASINs. And he gave us such a good visual. He said, okay, if you just had 100,000 ASINs, and if you only bought 1% of that, right? If you only bought 1% of 100,000 ASINs you're tracking, and you only bought a couple of units, you will be making multi seven figures. Okay, so it doesn't take a whole lot, but it does is it allows you to spread your money out to so many different ASINs, and you get to the more ASINs that you have, the more opportunity you get to cherry pick. You get to pick the best of the best ASINs, making the highest margins. So that is why our users are loading in so many, I would say, good potential ASINs, right? And that's the first thing I teach in my first session of the mastermind is you don't look for profit, you look for potential, right? At some point in time, that ASIN has sold well. And I've even posted examples of ASINs where if you look at the Keepa chart, the seller count was sky high and everybody's price was dropping like crazy. Nobody was making money, right? But with 3P Mercury, I tracked it to the point where I became the only seller. And I cherry picked that one ASIN and I sold 20 units in a matter of a day or two, making like $20 in profit each, right? And I just do that over and over every day, where my profit margin is just so much higher than the average arbitrage seller that's just chasing the buy box, that's just doing the old methods that sellers have been doing, and it's being in a way saturated. Those strategies have become saturated because everybody's doing the same thing. They wait for a store sale, they buy it, they send it in really quick, hoping to match the buy box or undercut by a penny, and everybody ends up not doing very well. So, with this new method, it spreads your risk, it increases your profit margins, and it just gives you I would say, this is a strategy that I could see last much longer than the strategies that have been taught in the past, because you just have so much ASINs to cherry pick from that you're just spreading your risk around.
Yeah. Let me think like a skeptic for a minute, because if I was listening to this for the first time ever, what I might say is, well, it sounds like it's automated to the point where it's going to get saturated. So I don't know. Let me just throw some facts, numbers, and details at you. At any given time, we've demonstrated over and over again, and I'm not going to go into exactly what we do. I've done live demos in our Facebook group. At any given time, there are millions of ASINs that are either completely unstocked in Amazon's 200 plus warehouse network, or severely understocked, unstocked or understocked in Amazon's 200 plus warehouse network. Meaning and as well, the other thing these millions of ASINs have in common is they're popular, hot selling items. And so some people say, well, how are people buying it if it's not stocked? Well, merchant fulfilled, right? People are selling it from their own garages. They've got a few units for sale, kind of like you're on eBay, right? Selling a few units from your own house, shipping it, which means there's only slow delivery options available for Amazon's millions of shoppers. They're hopping online saying, I need this thing. Oh man, I got to wait 4 or 5 days. I think I'll just go to Walmart. Understocked. Had there been an FBA seller in there with a higher price, a lot of people would have paid for the convenience. So that's just one example of the millions. And then you look at even some of the most popular products that are somewhat stocked, but there's still 150 plus warehouses sitting empty with 0 units. So there's no fast delivery options on them. You start to realize that every day when we wake up tomorrow, the landscape will have shifted. And there's all new opportunities, new ASINs, new brands. This is a rapidly expanding blue ocean of opportunity that there are simply ridiculously too few sellers filling Amazon shelves at this point. And the data is there in abundance. The number of times, and Khang, I like to ask people this to prove it. When's the last time you were shopping on Amazon and hopped on there and said, I'm going to use my Prime discount and I'm going to go find a deal? Hey, and you find your product, but it's going to take 7 days to arrive. What's up with that? That just means that the people selling it haven't even sent it to Amazon yet to get to the shelf to be shipped to you. It's on the way. It's in a box. It's an understocked product. There are millions of those. So an educated seller using your software, helping fill the underserved shelf space, that opportunity is so wide open for us, and the landscape is changing every day. Yeah, I'm just excited for the future of this. I can't wait to add thousands of users to this software because the opportunity is that big. It's expanding that rapidly. E-commerce is only what, 18% of retail in the United States. It's set to be 20, 25, 30, 35%, and Amazon is half that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's hundreds of billions of new sales, potentially monthly, that we're not seeing right now. That's
Yeah.
coming. New
Yeah.
brands, new products, new ASINs for resellers, which is most of Amazon's catalog. Resellers selling everyday, boring, common stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
I think it's hard to fathom sometimes. So I just wanted to address the skeptics real quick. Like, well, this is getting pretty automated. It's expanding more rapidly than we're able to automate it.
Yeah, I mean, there are several billions of ASINs on Amazon, right? And they're,
It would take us 32 years to count to a billion,
yeah,
right? If
there's,
we just started counting right now, one, two,
yeah,
three,
yeah.
and there's billions.
They're
So,
yeah, they're billions, and certainly they're not billions of sellers, right? So
no.
they're a couple millions of sellers, maybe. So,
And most of them never do it the right way. They sign up and never do
exactly.
anything with it.
Exactly, and there's so much opportunity. A lot of people. Every year on Amazon, I sell. I've been selling for 5 years now. Every year there is a spread of doomsday naysayers. Oh, the Amazon world is crashing. Amazon's doing X, Y,
I've
and
heard
Z.
that for 24 years. It used to be
Yeah,
eBay before Amazon.
every
It
year
happens
you
two
hear
or three
something.
times a year.
Yeah,
There's a sky is falling, doomsday. And if the first 50 times it happened 18 years ago, it freaked me out too. And now I just laugh and I'm just like, we're
yeah.
thinning the herd of the people who aren't paying attention to the details.
Yeah, and it's to the point where it's like I see one of two things. Okay, I see one of two things. Either I see experienced sellers spreading doomsday messages, but years later I still see them selling,
They're still selling.
or I see experienced sellers spreading doomsday messages and no longer selling because they were not going to continue anyways, right? Yet the movements, I mean, it's still moving. The list of ASINs still continue to grow. Amazon's revenue still continue to grow. Seller, what you told me the other day, 2,000 new sellers are jumping on every day, right? For
Mhm.
every 1,000 sellers leaving, there's more coming in.
And a lot of those are people bringing new brands to the platform that
Yeah,
we as resellers can begin selling.
yeah, exactly. So there's just so much opportunity out there. I don't see anything going down. With Amazon, and I think to be honest, it's every business. Okay, every business requires you to pivot. All right, nothing's going to be good forever, right? You're going to have to change your strategy, change the way you do things. One year Amazon's warehouses got full, and they made everybody do FBM. They reduced everybody's storage space and things like that. They made a lot of people do FBM, especially during like the COVID period, right? Everybody had to do FBM. They switched to that, and it lasts for a few months, and now okay, we're back again. We're back on FBA. So there are things that you just have to navigate and get used to. But it's just like every other business. It's nothing new, right? And the opportunity is still really good. There's plenty of people making great money. I'm one of them on Amazon, and that's just business, right? So I would say if you are afraid, you're hesitant in getting in, because you're hearing things like that, well, guess what? You'll hear things next year. You'll hear things next year. So you keep waiting, you'll just never get in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is e-commerce is the fastest growing economic sector in the United States. It's growing faster by far than any other economic sector. And Amazon is half the game. And that's not going to change anytime soon with a rapidly expanding catalog of products
Mm-hmm.
that you can sell to people who are shopping under stocked shelf space in Amazon's rapidly expanding warehouse network. They're building new warehouses like crazy. The
Mm-hmm.
game hasn't even started. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't listen to the people who are saying,
And in
"Oh, it's
fact, every
saturated."
every opposition has an opportunity, right? So, for instance,
Yes.
Amazon's been pushing a lot of people to do FBM. There's a lot of people doing FBM. Guess what? If you hop into FBA, you can sell way above the buy box against those FBM sellers, which is something I found today, right? I ran through my list of ASINs, and I just, went through and already I just, in 20 minutes, I found like a half a dozen ASINs where I will be the only FBA seller. Imagine what I'm going to do to that buy box, right? So
Your
I'm
price.
just,
You may not win the buy box,
yeah,
and you're going to
yeah.
win loads of
Just list the
sales.
price high. In fact, as a FB, as an Amazon shopper myself, I never, ever shop before clicking that Prime button, right? So I click that Prime button to make sure that it's going to be shipped Prime because I've just had so many bad experiences buying from FBM. It takes long. If you get really unlucky, you'll buy from a drop shipper. That'll take forever to get your product here. And then on top of that, returns is such a hassle, right? So I don't even want to deal with it. I would rather pay more. And so imagine a shopper like me, how many of me's are out there that click the Prime button, right? So, the opportunity is so big. It's just,
Yeah. And
it's
that's a
not.
search I perform on a regular basis. You can get into Keepa, which is a tool that has that great historical data that so many of us use. And you can search and say right now of the ASINs that Keepa is tracking, they're not tracking all of them, but they're tracking most of them. Of
Mhm.
all the ASINs you're tracking, how many of them are selling at a rapid pace, but have zero FBA sellers? That's a great way to find winners that you can mark your price way up. And we've given hundreds of examples of exact ASINs and showing you the Keepa charts in our community.
Mhm.
Just there's so many, there's millions of them.
Yeah,
They
there's
come
so
up
many.
as I call it the underserved shelf space in Amazon's warehouse network because people shop like you just said all the time.
Mhm.
They want speed, they want the convenience of Prime, and there aren't any options for so many in the catalog. It's just such low-hanging fruit out there for people. But you've got to have a way to track and find these because that list is going to look different a month from now. You got to have a way to track and bring these back to your attention when the right time to get in is because 2 months from now there could be 30 sellers selling it and the price is in the basement and nobody wants to be on it at that point. But you've already
Right.
gotten out.
Right, right. And that's the beauty of the software that it does all of that for you. So, but yeah, so for those who are there are a lot of people who ask me this. I might as well I've announced it in the My Silent Sales team Facebook group, but for those who haven't seen the post, I do want to remind you that we have, if you're interested in getting 3P Mercury, you can go to 3pmercury.com and sign up. But since you're part of this community, do not pay the retail price that is posted on the website. So we have three different tier levels, and the highest tier, which also includes Walmart for those who are selling on Walmart, and many, many features, like, for instance, being able to track up to 100,000 ASINs, having a large team, financial reports. So a lot of features come with the elite tier. That retails for $399 a month. But for our group, our silent team, Jim Cockham Friends group, all right, you want to go to a page that's not listed on the public website. It is 3pmercury.com, the number 3p, 3pmercury.com/friends. If you go to that, friends plural, okay? If you go to that page, you will get a special pricing for the elite tier that is like nearly 80% off. So I want to remind people of that is to get in at our special pricing that's only available to this group.
Yeah, that's a fantastic offer. Yeah, and we've publicized that in our Facebook group and on this podcast. But to the unknowing public, yeah, you're going to be paying a lot more for that. Again, that's the elite tier, the highest tier, like the enterprise level for a lower price,
Mm-hmm.
the lowest price that you're going to find anywhere, the lower price than the basic level
Yeah,
on the main website.
yeah.
Right. So you're not going to find a better price anywhere for the highest level. And this is something we're doing right now because we really want to get more users in, get more ideas, get more momentum for this thing. The success stories that we're beginning to hear more and more of in the community from people using it. Yeah, we're super excited about the future for this community, for resellers in general on Amazon. But I want to spend, if you, I don't know if you hit on any of the newest, latest features. Is there anything you're excited about right now as we wrap this up that you guys are working on that you're about to hit the trigger on that we could kind of announce for the 3P users or for those who are considering it?
Yeah, so for the next couple of weeks, we're going to focus really hard on the Walmart features. There are three things on my agenda. One is the Walmart features that will really, 3P is it was tailored towards Amazon, and we really focus on the Amazon features, but we really want to bring a lot of those convenience and solving a lot of those pain points to the Walmart side. We've already started doing that, so you can use Walmart right now with 3P Mercury, but it's missing a lot of key features that I really want to bring together and put it together for Walmart to make it convenient and to really be the tool that is just as good for Walmart as it is for Amazon. Because Walmart is a huge opportunity right now. Or if you guys are not selling on Walmart, you really need to seriously consider it just for just so you don't take it for granted, okay? When I applied for my Walmart account a few years ago, I had to reapply almost 4 times. They would not let me in, okay?
Right.
Um, it took me forever to get my Walmart account. Now people are just clicking a few buttons and they're getting in right away. So the opportunity is there to get into Walmart. A lot of our users are saying their Walmart business is growing faster than their Amazon business because the opportunity, the numbers of sellers on Walmart, it's not there. Talk about underserved products. It's severely underserved at Walmart, right? So we're really excited to bring in those Walmart features, and we're really near completion. We'll probably wrap it up in maybe 4 weeks or so and release the complete suite of Walmart. And that'll be very exciting. The next feature I want to focus on is a lot of the shipping features. So, for instance, even now you can print like your FN SKUs inside of 3P Mercury. But what we're doing is we're starting to work with prep centers. A lot, we're having a webinar on July 22nd for our first 3P certified prep center. So our prep centers are now starting to use 3P Mercury to check in your products and to keep your products up to date. So we're going to really enhance a lot of the shipping features of 3P Mercury, and that will benefit those who don't use prep centers because you guys will ship your own products, so it'll be faster for you to ship your products. It's already a huge time saver right now using 3P Mercury to ship your products, but we're going to make it even better. So that's another feature that is high on my list. And then when I say that, I keep save the last piece, and it's not the last thing we're building, but the last thing I want to mention is we're really going to build in a lot of the automation stuff. Like for instance, being able to not only track your ASINs on the Amazon side, but we'll also be able to track it on the supplier side. Are they out of stock? What are their prices now, today, versus yesterday? So we'll be able to track historical prices of your retailers, and then automate all of that. Like for instance, if it might be a good opportunity to sell, but what if your retailer has gone up at $10 in cost of goods sold, right? So the buy cost has increased dramatically. Well, you have to manually check that. We're going to automate that as well, and that's going to be huge. There's nothing out there like this. So that's going to be a very, very exciting feature. So definitely jump in now while the price is still cheap, because once this becomes just the tool that you can't deal without, of course, the more value we put in, the more investment we put into this tool, we have to justify with more cost, more pricing to keep it, economical. But get in now while you're, all these prices that we're offering to the friends page, you're locked in for forever, right? So when you get that price, you're just going to be locked in, so that if there is a price increase in the future, you won't have to pay it.
Yeah, I can already envision a big convention of 3P users, and people are like, "Oh, so what's your monthly rate? When did you lock in?" Yeah, I was back during there. They had the friends page. I got it under $100 a month. What are you paying? I'm paying 800 a month for this thing. What? Right? And it'll be worth every penny, but it is heading to that point where it's going to be a no-brainer at
Right.
multiple times more than what we're charging because of just we've got people, just to put it into perspective, Khang, right now, there's people with $3 million reselling businesses that have a team of 5 or 6 people working in their warehouse, a
Mm-hmm.
team of, 5 or 10 virtual assistants finding and managing when do we buy, tracking the ASINs, going back through the whole spreadsheet once every month so they don't miss anything. And they're happy and they're profitable. You're doing it with 2 or 3 people, and you're not one of them.
Hmm.
That's amazing because the software is doing the heavy lifting. And that's what first caught my attention was when I said, you have how many people on your team and you're doing what kind of level of business? And you could put more money in and grow it anytime you want. Just
Hmm.
pour more ASINs in, pour a little more cash in. You're turning, a dollar into $1.50 over and over and over again, as much as you want.
Yeah.
We've got something special here, and it's still in its infancy. But yeah, super
Yeah.
excited to be on this project with you. And yeah, you've brought a lot of value to this community. Thanks, Kane.
No, thank you. No, it's a pleasure, and it's really opened me up to being more, of a, being able to serve the community because it's such a pleasure. I mean, it's great to sell and make money on selling online, and all of that is fun. But really, to help other people grow their business,
Hmm.
we're having people that are doubling, tripling their business and really seeing their growth and seeing how like when they post a review about us and just saying this tool has helped them tremendously and they don't know what they would do without this tool. That's so rewarding, right? And it's just it's gotten me into like teaching roles and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff I never thought I would do.
Oh, I loved it at the conference. You're sitting there at a table near our coaching table, and people in groups of two, three, five at a time, seven, just leaning in, watching the demo. You're sitting there doing the demos, and I thought, man, this is a cool time. These are great memories because I know soon enough this is going to be, you're going to be in different roles, and there's going to be a team of people running this thing as we add users, and it's in its infancy right now, but it's having a huge impact. And you've got the bug. Once you start influencing people's lives and helping them move to a better place, it becomes addictive. It becomes so rewarding. It's
It
like this
does.
flywheel of we're getting paid to help people succeed, so they love us even more, which means we get paid more. It's just this fun flywheel to be on of seeing lives change and building a great business.
It does, and it is a whole ecosystem now because it's not just software, and it really isn't. It's the software, it's the mastermind that you get to network with all of these users. It's all of the Jim Cockrum coaches. A lot of our users actually ending up becoming Jim Cockrum coaching students
Right.
because
Because
they,
they're some of our top performing students
Mhm.
who understand our culture. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like a
Yeah,
recruiting ground.
they see the potential, and then they're like, you know what, I want to go faster, and then they hire a coach
Mhm.
that's already using 3P themselves, right?
Right.
So it's becoming an entire ecosystem where it's like you have so much support, not just from me, but from the users themselves, and then from the Jim Cockrum coaching team. There's just so much, it's unlike any software out there because it's not just software, it's software, community, education, so much support.
Inspiration, encouragement, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and you're the first ever guest that we've done this with. I'll go and let the cat out of the bag. As often as your schedule permits, we're going to get you on the show once a month just to give us updates on this exciting project. I think we're kind of cataloging the history of the
Mhm.
growth. And I haven't gone back in a long time and listened to our first podcast episode, but I think it's going to become a pretty cool commodity in our to go back and look at and go, wow, that we had no idea. And just kind of this journey
Um,
and because we're all in, man. We meet once a week and go over strategy to grow this tool, to improve it for this community. And there's very few things on my calendar that happen once a week. Very few.
yeah.
And talking about 3P Mercury with you and the team is one of them because we're just so bullish about what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to be with you guys, work with you guys, and then getting to know you and everything like that. It's just a huge blessing. Being able to serve the community is a huge blessing. So yeah, I will look forward to jumping on, hopping, talking to you guys every month, once a month at least, and giving you updates about 3P Mercury and what we're doing. And yeah, if you want, you're interested, you can search back for all of my old podcasts and seeing how I've grown. I mean, listen to my voice, how shy and timid I was in the first
Yeah.
podcast,
It's a
right?
leadership journey, and it's a
Um,
great illustration of what the
yeah,
leadership journey looks like. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If
So
I
yeah,
remember right, that first episode with you, we had to do quite a bit of editing.
I was really nervous.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it's
if I
great.
recall.
Yeah, and it is crazy. It's and from a person that's not I'm not new to people. I mean, I ran a large company. I've been in front of 100 people before, but just for some reason being online and being
Yeah.
interviewed, that was just weird. So, but for you guys who are listening, this is the journey, this is the growth that you can, I've seen so many that, they're just average sellers getting interviewed by Jim Cockrum, and all of a sudden they become a leader in the community. And there's just the huge name, right? You've seen so many people just hop on and become a huge leader. So there's so much to this business that don't think is you're just reselling widgets. You're going to grow quite a bit as a business person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Business is a leadership journey. The cap on your business is you and your ability to lead and influence and manage others. And yeah, and yours is just one of those great stories. Well, this is a good stopping point. I think we've cranked out a great episode. We're going to hear from you once a month, man. I'm sure there's going to be lots of new stories to share. Let me just do a quick recap of some of the things we've covered and remind you, we've got a conference coming up in August 15th, 16th of 2025. Theprovenconference.com has details. I'll stick all these links in the show notes that you heard today. But primarily what we're going to cover, a lot of the content is going to be how to get into 3P Mercury using the strategies we've talked about today, how to go find a whole bunch of ASINs and track them versus finding one discount here and there and building your catalog slowly, one or two ASINs at a time over the course of years. No, the game has changed. You can step on the gas and you've got tools that have your back. That's a lot of what we'll cover, as well as helping you get ready for the fourth quarter. But also don't forget about the 3pmercury.com/friends page if you want to get into 3P. If you want a coach to help you go further faster, I'll stick this link in the show notes. Get over to silentjimdotcom/book a call. Have a conversation with us about all of this. We'll answer all your questions and set you on the best path for your budget and the time that you have. But Khang, it's been great hanging out with you today, man. Always good to see you, brother. And we'll do this again real soon, okay?
All right.
All right, buddy. For those listening today, thanks for hanging out with us. God bless your journey. We're praying for you. We're in your corner. We'll have more good episodes for you very soon. We'll talk to you then.